afternoon. We are Monica Martinez and Gabriela Lopez, and we're going to talk about the classical period. We're going to start explaining what was the Greco-Roman period, and then we're gonna show you some Greek architecture and then Roman architecture.
Well, the classical period was known also as a Greco-Roman period because this is the time where the Greek and the Roman civilizations flourished and had a great influence throughout Europe, north of Africa, and southwestern Asia. And we can notice this by the architecture they had. And well, this influence is collectively known as the Greco-Roman world.
Classical Greece. The beginning of classical Greece was when the Athens defeated the Persians and they managed to, with the Delian League, to gather like a treasure, and after a time everything went well and they brought the treasure to the Acropolis. The Acropolis is the rock on the base. It was built by Pericles, and it was a monument of political and economic power. One of the monuments that was built on the Acropolis was the Parthenon. It was dedicated to Athena because she was the goddess of the village. And it's a Doric temple. On the inside, you can find a statue of Athena made of gold and ivory. It was made by the sculptor Pedarias. Another temple that is on the Acropolis is the Temple of Athena Nike. The Temple of Athena Nike was a completely Ionic temple. It was originally built in honor of Athena. Athena was the goddess of victory and wisdom. Nike means victory in Greek, and temple was a hope of Athens winning the Peloponnesian War. The Erechthon. It was dedicated to the Greek hero Heracles, that was a king. He was supposed to be son of Athena and born from air. And the architect was Pericles. Sorry. And now we proceed to the Propylaea, that was like the main entrance to Acropolis and to the Great Temple of Athena. And to finish the Greek part of the presentation, we're talking about Olympia, that was on the Ellis in the Peloponnese Peninsula. This was where the Olympic Games in the classical times were meant to be. This is the arch when you get into the stadium, and this is a part where the athletes will back practice and warm up before the encounters. And with this, we conclude the Greek architecture part, and we will proceed with Roman architecture.
Well, in classical Rome, started with the influence of Greece. It started in the city of Pompeii because it was the closest part to the Greece colonies. And well, the influence of Greece in Roman is noticed in the columns. They had the Corinthian, Ionic, and Doric, as well as the Greek. And they created two new types of columns, which were the composite and Tuscan. Composite is a richer form of Corinthian column, and Tuscan is a simpler form of Doric column. They had like a great variety of buildings. With some of them were the public baths, basilicas, villas, theaters, aqueducts, bridges, triumphal arches, and that's all. Well, the main characteristics were the dome, the vault, and the arch. Well, these are some examples of public baths. They are situated in Pompeii. It's the oldest dome building in Rome. These are two types of rooms, the cold room and the cold room was used to have showers like with water, like not hot, not cold. And the other is where they had thermal showers. The basilicas were adopted by the Christian Church. They are like identified by the domes they have. They were inside. They were divided into three like corridors. The nave that is the principal, and at the side 2 aisles, one in each side, and at the very end of those corridors were the apse. The theaters. This is the one at the left side is the theater at Orange. It's identified because it has a huge wall with highly decorated columns, statues, pediments, and it's a huge theater. And with that theater, we can see how Romans like to have closed areas, enclosed spaces. The other is a smaller theater and doesn't have the same characteristics of the one at the Orange, but it's also a Roman theater. Aqueducts and bridges. These are two examples of important structures that still remain. The Aqua Appia, which is an aqueduct, a very large and big aqueduct, and has its structure very solid. It's not that destroyed like other structures. And the one at the right side is the Tagus Bridge, which is a very awesome example of these types of bridges because it's a very tall bridge which has the arches 30 meters up from the floor, and it's well preserved. And well, these were some of the examples of the 8 types of constructions the Romans had. And with that, we conclude our presentation. Thank you.
We conclude with the presentation. Yes, thank you. If you have any questions, you're free to ask them, Gabriel.
I have 2 questions. One for the Greek and one for the Roman.
All right.
So in the Greek part, you said they celebrated the classical Olympics in some constructions you showed us.
Yes.
Did they have anything like the theaters or Roman amphitheaters to have them, or they were like in open field?
What again?
Yeah. You showed us some
Yes.
constructions, but they were
Are
more
you
like
talking about stadium?
yeah, something like a stadium.
Yes, there were stadiums.
Okay.
I just didn't show them, but they are still part of the stadiums in a way of ruins.
Okay, great. And the other one is some doubt that I've always had is with the aqueducts.
Mm-hmm.
How does the water travels? Because every time I see an aqueduct, it's like completely plain, and I don't see how it will travel from one place to another.
They, well, what I know is that they have a very top part, they have like a corridor for the water to travel. They were like putting the water in there, and well, they travel like a very large distance, but I didn't research that well.
Alright,
So
that's good.
later I could look for it and give you the answer.
Yeah, so it's
Any other questions? Cruz?
In the Greek architecture, you mentioned the statue of Athena. Is there another building that has that kind of statue with a lot of gold or value?
I didn't research like that deep and detail, but I'm going to guess maybe there is, but I don't think one as big and precious like that one, because it's tiny, especially in a place for Athena. Yes. Okay.
All right, great.
Thank you for your
Thank you.
attention.